In this video, we will show you how to register your social adult daycare program with NYC Aging. First, enter in the SADC online portal registration URL into your browser to open up the portal. The first page you will see after opening the portal is the login page. To log into the portal, you will need to first enter in your email address and the password that you created when you first set up your account, and then click on the login button. This will pull up the online registration page. The online registration page captures all the required information that you will need to provide to NYC Aging in order for your program to be registered as an active social adult daycare program that is authorized to operate in New York City. As we go through this video, you will notice that the online registration page is broken up into several sections. The first section you will need to complete is the Program Site Information section. Before we fill in the Program Site Information section, there are a few things I want to point out. First, notice that the SADC Tax ID number and SADC Site ID fields are grayed out and are already filled in for you. The portal has automatically filled in your SADC tax ID number and has temporarily entered the words New Site in the SADC Site ID field. NYC Aging will assign a unique SADC ID number to your program after you have successfully registered your program. Also, notice that some of the fields have a red asterisk next to them. Any field with a red asterisk next to it is a required field and must be filled in. You will not be able to register your program until you have filled in all of the required fields. Let's go ahead and fill in our program site information by entering in our program's name, program street address, floor or suite number if you have one, city. The state is automatically filled in as New York, zip code, phone number and extension if you have one, and website if you have one. Next, you'll want to select the year your program was established by first clicking on the down arrow button and then selecting the appropriate year. Then you'll want to click on the program status drop-down arrow, which will display a list of status options. It is very important that you select the correct status. Active means that your program is up and running and fully operational. Standby is a temporary status where your program is waiting to open. Some examples of a standby status would be if your program is in the process of getting ready to open soon, or if your program is in the process of moving but will reopen at a new location soon. And inactive means your program is no longer operating. We're going to select active to indicate that our program is active and open for business. Next, you will need to enter in your program's days and hours of operation. It is very important that you enter in the correct days and hours your program is open. Also, make sure that you do not enter hours for the days your program is closed. For example, our program is open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. and is closed on Saturday and Sunday. To indicate that our program is open from Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., starting with Monday, we will select 8 a.m. in the From row and 4 p.m. in the To row. Be sure that you've scrolled down far enough to select the 4 p.m. option and not the 4 a.m. option. Then we will simply repeat the process of selecting 8 a.m. as the From time and 4 p.m. as the To time for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Since our program is not open on Saturday or Sunday, we will not enter in any start or end hours for Saturday or Sunday. Now that we've entered in our days and hours of operation, the next field we will need to fill in is the Certificate of Occupancy. To indicate whether or not your program has a certificate of occupancy, you would click on the field's down arrow and select Yes to indicate your program does have a certificate, or No that your program does not. We are going to select Yes to indicate that our program does have a certificate of occupancy. Next, we will enter in 30 into the anticipated average daily program attendance field as the number of attendees that typically come to our program. From there, we will select the Certified with New York State Office of Medicaid Inspector General drop-down arrow to indicate whether or not our program is certified with them. If you select No to indicate that your program is not certified, then you will need to enter in a brief explanation of why your program is not certified in the If Not Certified with OMIG field to the right. We are going to select Yes to indicate that our program is certified with the New York State Office of Medicaid Inspector General, also known as OMIG. Next, we are going to fill in the type of business our program is by clicking on the Business Type drop-down arrow, which will display a list of business types. If your program's type of business is not in a list of choices, you can select Other and enter in your program's type of business in the If Other Business Type field to the right. We are going to select Corporation LLC as our program's type of business. Next, we will need to click on the Physical Accessibility drop-down arrow to indicate if our program is accessible to disabled or not. We are going to select Yes to indicate our program is accessible. Next, you will need to enter the date your program's food service establishment permit expires. It is very important that you not only enter in an accurate expiration date, but that you enter the date in the correct format. The date you enter in as your expiration date must be entered in as a 2-digit month followed by a /, a 2-digit day followed by a /, and a 4-digit year. For example, our program's food service establishment expiration date is January 31st, 2025, which must be entered in as a 2-digit month of 01 for January, followed by a /, a 2-digit day of 31, followed by a /, and a 4-digit year of 2025. If you do not enter your expiration date in as a 2-digit month, 2-digit day, and 4-digit year, the portal will not register the date you enter. Next, you will need to enter in the name of the local fire jurisdiction. NYC Aging strongly recommends that you contact the local fire jurisdiction to let them know that your social adult daycare program is there so that they can be prepared in the event of emergency. The last required field you will need to enter in the program site information section of the online registration page is the notification date of your SADC's existence. This is the date that NYC Aging activated your site. Just like how you entered the expiration date of food service establishment permit, it is very important that you enter the date as a 2-digit month, 2-digit day, and 4-digit year. If you do not enter the date as a 2-digit month, 2-digit day, and 4-digit year, the portal will not record the date you entered. Now that we have filled in all of the program site information, let's go ahead and fill in the shift information. For each day of the week, you will need to enter in the number of shifts per day, the average number of attendees you anticipate will come to your program, and the average number of staff per shift. Our program is open Monday through Friday, but is closed on Saturday and Sunday. Let's go ahead and fill in our program shift information for Monday through Friday. For Monday through Thursday, our program has 1 shift per day with an anticipated number of attendees of 30 and 6 staff members working per shift. On Friday, our program has 2 shifts with an anticipated number of attendees of 30 and 6 staff members working per shift. But what about the days our program is closed, which are Saturday and Sunday? A common mistake users make is to leave the fields blank for the days their program is closed. It is very important that for each day that your program is closed, you do not leave their fields blank. Instead, enter in 0 for the number of shifts per day, 0 for the average number of attendees, and 0 for the average number of staff per shift for each day your program is closed. For example, our program is closed on Saturday and Sunday, which means we must enter 0 in all of the Saturday and Sunday fields. If you do not fill in 0 in all of the fields on the days your program is closed, the portal will not be able to record your shift information. Now that we've entered in our shift information, let's fill in the corporate structure section by entering in the corporate address of our program and a do business under another name if our program does business using another name. To enter in the corporate address, click the corporate address down arrow and select whether the corporate address is the same or different from your program's address. If you select different from program address, you would use the if different from program address, floor suite, city, and zip code fields to enter in the corporate address. We are going to select same as program address to indicate that the corporate and program address are the same. Notice that the portal has filled in the corporate address with the address information we entered earlier in the program site information section. Depending on whether or not your program does business under another name, you may need to enter that name in the if SAD is doing business under any other names field. For example, our program does business under the name of SADC Inc. Now that we've finished filling in the corporate structure section, let's fill in the director of our program's information by entering in the director's first name and last name. Then click on the title drop-down arrow to select their title. We are going to select director as the title. Then enter in their phone number and extension if you have one. And finally, enter in their email address twice to confirm that you've entered in the correct email address. Now that we've entered in the director's information, let's enter in the owner's information by clicking on the Add New Owner button. From here, we're going to enter in the owner's first name, last name, and phone number and extension if you have one. Then we will click on the status drop-down arrow, which will display a list of status options. Active means the owner is a current active owner. The standby option is not typically selected as a status for owners, so you most likely will not need to use it. Inactive means the owner is no longer an active owner of this program. We are going to select active to indicate that our owner is current and active. Next, we will enter in the owner's email address twice to confirm that we have entered in the correct email address. Then, we will click the Role drop-down arrow, which will display a list of roles. If your program owner's role is not in a list of roles, you would enter the owner's role in the If Other field to the right of the role field. We are going to select Owner as our owner's role. Now that we have entered in all of our owner's information, we will need to click the Save button to save what we have entered. Notice that there are two more buttons to the right of the Save button. The Back to Ownership List button will display a list of the owners of your program, and the Delete button will delete this owner. We are going to click on the Back to Ownership List button to display a list of owners. There are a few things I want to point out about the owner's information section. In our example, our program has only one owner. However, if your program has multiple owners, you would simply click on the Add New Owner button and fill in their information. Also, if your program is a nonprofit organization that does not have a person's name to enter into the first and last name fields, you can enter in nonprofit in the first and last name fields instead. Now that we've entered in our program's owner's information, let's fill in the Manage Long-Term Care Plan, or MLTC, information section. To add a managed long-term care plan your program is contracted with, you first need to click the Add New MLTC Plan button. The Managed Long-Term Care Plan, or MLTC information section, is where you would enter in all of the managed long-term care plans your program is contracted with. You first need to click on the MLTC name drop-down arrow, which will display a list of MLTC plans you can choose from. We are going to select Aetna as the MLTC plan we are in contract with. Then we will enter in the plan name. Next, we will need to enter in the MLTC plan's address information. It is important to note that the MLTC address you enter in should be the MLTC's corporate address, and their phone number and extension, which should also be their MLTC's corporate phone number and extension. After you have entered in the MLTC's corporate address and phone information, you will need to click on the Plan Status drop-down arrow, which will display a list of status options. Active means the contract is active. Standby means the contract is pending and waiting for the contract to be approved. And inactive, which means that your program is no longer contracted with the MLTC. We are going to select Active to indicate that our program is currently in contract with the MLTC. Finally, we're going to enter in the MLTC's email address twice to confirm that the email address we entered is correct. It is important to note that the MLTC email address you enter should not be the MLTC's corporate email address, but rather should be the email address of the direct contact you have at the MLTC plan. Now that we've entered in all of our MLTC's information, we will need to click the Save MLTC Info button to save what we have entered. If your program is contracted with more than one MLTC plan, you would click on the Add New MLTC Plan button to enter in any additional MLTC plans your program are in contract with. We are going to click on the Back to MLTC button to display a list of MLTCs our program is in contract with. Now that we have completed the MLTC information section, let's move on to the final section of the online registration page, which is the Acknowledgement and Signature section. The Acknowledgement and Signature section is where you agree that all of the information you entered on the online registration page is accurate and true. Before you agree, NYC Aging strongly recommends that you double-check that the information you entered is correct and that you thoroughly read what you are agreeing to before you click on the I agree checkbox. Since we are confident that we have entered in everything correctly, we are going to click on the I agree checkbox. Notice that the portal automatically fills in the first and last name fields with the first and last name you entered when you first set up your account. Finally, notice that there are two buttons at the bottom of the online registration page, Save and Submit. It is very important that you click the Save button to save your registration information before you click the Submit button. If you do not click the Save button to save your registration information before clicking the Submit button, the portal will not be able to send your registration information to NYC Aging. Since we are confident that all of the information we entered in on the online registration page is correct, we are going to click the Save button to save the registration information we entered, and then click the Submit button to submit or send our registration information to NYC Aging. Once you've successfully submitted your information by first clicking the Save button and then clicking the Submit button, a confirmation message will display confirming that your registration information was successfully submitted to NYC Aging and that a confirmation email will be sent to you within 5 business days.